FanDuel.com.
Nearing the playoffs, and Week 14 gives us a big divisional rematch between rivals, the Browns and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means you could win $150 on just a $5 bet for that AFC North matchup. It's been wild this season, to say the least, and you can get these two rivals and look at either side of the football if you want, and certainly a quarterback of the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, with the same game parlay or anything else with FanDuel Sportsbook, but use the promo code JMV and you could win $150 on just a $5 bet. It's promo code JMV. 21 plus and present in Indiana. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager an designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Why? Why take a chance? Why risk a mistake? Why say something? We all have reasons why we choose to ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right. The word why can either paralyze us or empower us to stand up and protect what we love. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my family.
I see safe for my friends.
I see say for my students.
We see say for each other.
I see say because all of this matters.
We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies this community we're all a part of. So protect your everyday. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
You want to feel connected, informed, included, inspired. So when important things happen, we're here. Your local radio and TV broadcasters. America's #1 source for news, weather, and information on your radio, TV, computer, tablet, and smartphone. We are broadcasters, always here for you, wherever here may be. Tell Washington local stations matter by texting radio to 52886. Furnished by NAB and the station. Message and data rates may apply.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's 10 a.m. We let you sleep in a little later this week. It's the Way Too Early pregame show with your host, Jimmy Cook.
Good morning, Indianapolis. And welcome to the Way Too Early pregame show. I'm your host, Jimmy Cook, high above the circle in downtown Indianapolis in the DriveHubler.com studios. Not necessarily way too early today, more like the appropriately timed pregame show, except there's no pregame. Colts are on the bye week. So we'll have plenty of content for you today, including handing out some home stretch awards, if you will. It's not really the midway point of the season. Usually you see the bye week placed around that area, but sometimes you're the unlucky team or lucky team, depending on where you sit on that side of the debate, if you like the early bye week or the late bye week. Sometimes you're one of those teams, though, where it's too early or too late in the season for it really to be a mid-season award. So instead, we're going to call it Final Home Stretch of the Year awards for the Colts. We'll hand out some individual awards, including Offensive Player of the Year, MVP at this point in time, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, all that fun stuff as well. Additionally, and I'm putting my producer, Corbin, on the spot here, because I didn't talk about this in our pre-show meeting, and that's my fault, because I don't think sometimes. The great Eddie Garrison, for those of you wondering, is out today, has a day off, so Corbin, nice not to fill in. Corbin, if you're able to create polls on the Twitter feed, we'll go over in this next segment some MVP candidates, but I trust you enough to put together a good list as well. I would obviously just include Jonathan Taylor in most of those, except for Defensive Player of the Year, because he's not playing that side of the ball. But otherwise, any of those you want to throw together, that poll will be up at 1075 The Fan on Twitter, so you can kind of get your crowd reaction to vote for your award winners as we approach the final stretch of the regular season for your Indianapolis Colts. Now, it is the bye week, and we traditionally do review some audio from the Colts as the week has unfolded. And we're going to do that here in just a minute. But first, I want to look back at the Colts' most recent contest, that being that dominant performance over the Houston Texans last week, a 31-0 shutout. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time the Colts have shut out the Texans since that series has been going on. That dates back to about 2003, 2002, somewhere around that area. So it's a historic performance, to say the least. The only downside to that, the Texans are historically bad this year. Not a great football team by any stretch of the imagination. And I like the idea that the Colts, I don't want to say overcorrected, but they knew that by simply utilizing everybody's favorite strategy of running the damn ball, that they'd be all right last week. They wouldn't have to necessarily try to air it out all that much. The game would pretty much be in hand. Carson Wentz, 16 of 22, 158 yards, a touchdown. It's a fine line. And truthfully, if you're going to utilize Jonathan Taylor as much as you did, he got 32 carries. I don't think that's going to be the norm, by the way. I think that you're still going to see him around his 20 or so, 20 to 25 carry mark on any given Sunday. But if it is that range, and you're still getting that type of stat line from Carson Wentz, that's a plus. That's fine. You might remember a couple weeks ago, I told you that I needed big things from Carson Wentz if the Colts were going to win a specific game. And his stat line was fine. It was okay. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago. Then you have that game against the Buccaneers. And early on in that contest, I know it didn't go the Colts' way. I know it was another collapse in the second half. But early on in that contest, Carson Wentz looked like the quarterback that Frank Reich and Chris Ballard envisioned when they brought him in the offseason. I've made it clear I'm not a diehard Carson Wentz fan. I'm not a fan of his. Like, I appreciate his game, and I enjoy what he brings to the table. But it's so tough in a league where you can do well and obtain a quarterback that can be the future of your franchise. Look at Los Angeles. Look at Kansas City. Look at Houston before all that went down in Houston. We're not going to dive into that today. It's just not enough time for it. But Houston thought they found that in Deshaun Watson. Like, there are ways to establish top-tier quarterback talent. And I know the Colts want Wentz to be that. And I know there is a certain segment of the fan base that wants Wentz to be that. I just don't think he's going to be. I think he's somewhere around the middle of the pack in terms of NFL quarterbacks around the league. And when you think about that middle of the pack, you're thinking about guys like Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, just to name a couple, right? Like, they're middle of the pack guys that are fine. They aren't what you need to win you the game, but you do need them to be a level of competent and take care of the football, not force things. And I think we're all in the same boat that 50 pass attempts or whatever it's been at times is not the way to go. It's not the way this team excels, not the way this team will thrive against a given opponent. But balance is important too, because you are going to go up against teams as you get to this home stretch that are going to try to take Jonathan Taylor away. The hoodie is coming back to Indianapolis next Saturday, 6 days from today. In case you don't know who the hoodie is for whatever reason, it's Bill Belichick. Darth Sidious, if you're a Star Wars fan. He's always looming. When you think you've vanquished him, all of a sudden he's back. It's hard to believe. With a new weapon. In this case, it's Mac Jones. I'm not going to dive into my Mac Jones opinions just yet, but since it is a pregame outlook for that matchup, since the Colts play on Saturday, and we'll get to that programming note in a moment, I will say this. I think it's super early to crown him, and I know that serious football fans aren't doing this, but the national media, which for the most part I like, I'm not on a crusade against the national media, but sometimes they like to cling to storylines. And everybody that cares about the NFL that works in the national media wants Mac Jones to be something special. Doesn't have to be the next Tom Brady, but they just want him to be a big name in the NFL. And he's looked sharp at times this year, particularly down this stretch. But it's too early for me in his career to suddenly say, yeah, he's going to be the heir to that Brady throne. And the Pats are back for good. And I'm instilled fear now when I see them on the schedule. The defense has been the real story for them. The defense has been outstanding for New England over this stretch. And again, he's played fine. But they are not, like, if they win the 1 seed, and you can make this case maybe about anybody in the AFC, but if the Patriots end up securing the 1 seed and they are the ones that are getting that first round bye and have home field, like, I'm not fearful of that. Again, my mindset is coming, and I've said this many times on the show, and you can probably gauge it a little bit from the shirt. We had some camera issues earlier, so I don't know how easy it is to tell, but yeah, I'm repping a Chiefs shirt today. It's also the bye week. Look, all right, it's Raiders week for me. Raiders! It's a little earlier in the show than I usually go to that, but there you go. So we have that sounder up. Anyway, I'm used to, at this stage of my fanhood, being a contender. And Colts fans for years and years and years, a lot of my buddies that are diehard Colts fans, we're used to that. We're used to always being in the contender pool. And now you're in a period of your franchise where you're trying to get back there while also building a highly competitive team. And the Colts have done a great job of that. There are some true game wreckers on both sides of the ball in this Colts roster. But you're in a boat now where instead of 13-3 seasons, or I guess it'd be 13-4 this time around, you are in a boat where you're fighting for a wild card spot. The division is no longer a guarantee for you. I'm not one of those right now that believes that the Colts can catch Tennessee. There's a path to do that, but I mean, the Titans would just have to literally have all the wheels fall off. And I will say this, I felt a lot more comfortable about that statement a couple weeks ago. At least one of those wheels starting to fall off. Now they've gotten out, they've repaired that, they put some super glue on it, and they're still moving down the road, but there's not enough runway for me left for the Colts to catch them. Now, looking at things that are plausible, that's the Colts in the playoffs. And I wasn't so sure about that 2 or 3 weeks ago. But you have, and it is a cliche, and I hate to say it, but you have full control of your playoff hopes right in front of you. You have 4 games to make that right. You're going to host the Patriots, which, by the way, that's a Saturday contest. So, next week, the way too early pregame show becomes the way too late postgame show because we are on Sunday, and that's a 10 a.m. start for us. So that's 10 a.m. to noon. I would assume Eddie would be back, but if not, as Corbin will prove to you as the day goes on, and as he's proved to me many a time, we got plenty of depth within this building to take care of us on a Sunday. But that'll be our show schedule for next week, and then the same thing the following week. The Colts also play another Saturday matchup, if I'm not mistaken, that one against the Cardinals on Christmas Day. So we'll have a day after Christmas show, or a Boxing Day, if you're familiar with culture of the United Kingdom, which why would you be? But still, I always think that's a fun holiday. We'll talk about that next week. So plenty of fun action on the Way Too Early pregame show the next couple of weeks. But again, those are postgame shows. Technically, we'll have immediate reactions for you from Colts Pats and from Colts Cardinals on those Sundays following. That'll be 10 to noon start times. Last 2 games, January 2nd, January 9th, 1 o'clock starts. So it'll be back to the Way Too Early routine of 6 to 8 a.m. But back to my major point. That is where the Colts are right now. You are hunting and clawing for playoff positioning and a spot in the dance. Do I think that there is enough talent on this Colts team to make some noise if they get there? I do. I don't think it's enough to make it to an AFC championship game. But depending on their matchup, yeah, I think they can win a playoff game. And I think a lot of Colts fans, truthfully, if we polled you, would take that. Even 3 weeks ago, if I told you, hey, you're going to win 1 playoff game and then get bounced, yeah, you'd probably take that. I know that changes from an emotional standpoint and from a fan standpoint, depending on how the game goes, right? If you have another Ravens situation where you're up the whole game and then you collapse. That's not a great way to end the season. I understand that. But if I was to tell you right now that the Colts were going to make the playoffs and just win a game, you'd take that. I think most people would. So we'll see how it unfolds, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this as the show goes on. But for right now, enjoy the bye week. There's plenty of games that you're rooting for. Another reason that I am repping the Chiefs shirt today is I understand that I am a mercenary. I get it. I'm a hired gun. Why am I a hired gun, you ask? Because the Colts could use Kansas City's services these next 2 weeks. And here's why. Today, they have an epic matchup, a rivalry matchup against the Raiders. Thank you, Chris Berman. The Raiders. One of the best rivalries in football, at least in terms of the storied history. It's been kind of like Packers and Bears nowadays, though. There's a great tradition there, but game hasn't been worth a damn in a while. Raiders stole one, I think, last year, if I'm not mistaken. But otherwise, it's been pretty much a Kansas City-owned thing, much like the entire West has been for the last 4 or 5 years, 5 or 6 years. So doesn't mean as much in that regard, but still, it's always a fun matchup with two storied AFL organizations going at it in an AFC matchup today. Then next week, it's the Chargers. I don't have the Arnold Go Chargers Go liner. I wish I did. Maybe we'll add that in the future, but I do not have that. However, that's a team that has gotten Kansas City, at least in some frequency, the last couple of years. 3 years ago, they stole one on the road with Phillip Rivers, former Colts quarterback Phillip Rivers, former Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers, at the helm there, and then Herbert has gotten them additionally. Already lost once this year to them. This one's in LA, but if the Chiefs win both those games, that's doing a favor for Indy, because that's more contenders that we're putting losses into their column that you're vying for playoff position. So I understand that role, and Colts fans, I hope we're able to help you out. Man, I hope we're able to help you out. A Raiders loss, we're not even going to think about that. It's not happening. I don't believe in Las Vegas. I just don't. So call me what you will. Let's look at some audio. This from the Colts this past weekend / this past week. Not a ton from the Colts this week because it's the bye. You want them to take the time off. But important to get a barometer of where the team is, how they're feeling heading into this bye week. Here was Frank Reich talking about how he feels the team is going into the bye week.
For us, it's coming at a good time. Feel good about where we're at as a club as far as health-wise and our mindset and the trajectory of what we're doing. And but it is a bye. It's not a vacation. We're still in season, so got to come back and get ready to go.
I always wonder how I would manage that time. Like, there's a whole different couple leaps we have to take here. But if I was a Colts fan, or not Colts fan, if I was a Colts player, or just an NFL player in general, which, by the way, that was never on the table for me. So just be honest. I was never had aspirations to be playing in the NFL. But if I was, and I had the bye week, and it was this late in the season, I don't know, man. Like, I'm happy at home right now, like, playing some Madden or playing some Halo or just hanging out playing some video games. Like, I having dinner with my wife, playing with my dogs. Like, I'm fine with that. So I'm sure there's a section of the team that are fine just chilling in their homes they have here in Indy. Now, I don't know, and I'm going into a gray area. I apologize that I'm not the high-end knowledgeable person on this. I might ask, by the way, Mike Chappell joining us at 11:30, the Dean in the house with us on the bye week. Really appreciate Mike Chappell stopping by to talk a little bit with us. But I'll ask Chappie this. I know there were restrictions a year ago with like teams or players being able to travel individually, I believe, because of COVID. I don't want to say I can't imagine that's still in place, but I mean, I wonder if there's restrictions what they can do. Because some players, I feel like you like to maybe go visit family for the week or go see some old buddies. I don't know. It's different when you are this late in the season with it and you do have a goal at hand. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, don't go see your family, or I'm not going to do that. That's not me. I can't blame you. I don't want to see my family as well and get a nice refresher, but Coach Reich is correct on that. It's not a full vacation. We're not going to Cancun yet, all right? We're not there. Maybe a couple weeks, things go south. You're going 1, 2, 3 Cancun, then you're headed off. But for right now, it's not the case. Let's get a little bit more in the mind of Frank Reich to that end. This on how he approaches the bye week. Coach Reich talking about that earlier this week, talking about where he as a coach and where the team as a coach approaches that bye week.
The players, that they're going to do the right thing. Don't try to, I've been places where, hey, let's keep them here in the building as long as we can because we can't trust them to, I've been around situations like that. That's not kind of how we operate here. We trust the players. We set a clear vision for what we think the bye should look like. Obviously, the players have the freedom that they have to do what they want to do, but we have a plan. We set a vision for what we want it to look like, where we're trying to come back. And
that makes sense to me. Like, you're trying your best to still get done with your objectives for the season. And you know that you only have 4 games left. That's it. Like, that's wild to think about. And I'm still a little, baffled by it. I know it's just the extra week, but it feels like the season is later. And duh, it is because it's an extra week. But looking at these games, I'm not used to going into January 9th, and we're not close to the playoffs yet. We still have a whole week of football before that goes on. And I'm not going to complain necessarily. I mean, I love football. I think it is, and I'm not just to think, it is the biggest attraction in professional sports in the U.S. It's always king. So I'm not complaining about the idea of still having red zone capabilities for 5 more Sundays, including today. Which, by the way, if you're a Colts fan, or just an NFL fan in general, or you're a Colts fan and wondering, oh man, there's so many games I got to watch. How do I track it all? They're not a sponsor, but I highly recommend Red Zone if you have the capabilities. If you're a streamer, I should clarify that, not a video game streamer. If you use streaming services, YouTube TV, Hulu, Live, Sports, whatever the case may be, it's probably a slight upgrade on that package, probably an extra like $10 a month, I think, for a whole array of sports channels. But in that, you get Red Zone. It is nonstop action, wall-to-wall action. 8 hours of commercial-free football. I don't think that's copyrighted, but if it is, that's the NFL networks. They own it. I don't, so just to clarify that. But that's what it is. Goes to simple concept. Any game when they're in the red zone, and then if nobody's in the red zone, they just flash around to each of the marquee games throughout the day. It is wonderful. A truly invigorating experience. It'll make you wonder how you've ever watched a normal football game again. So I recommend that if you're trying to track things the Colts need to go their way. The upside, though, if you're a Colts fan, again, I can't stress this enough. You don't need other teams to lose. You just need to win your damn games. That's it. In fact, you can go 3-1 and likely still make the playoffs. 538, along with the New York Times. There's a couple different sites you can use that have playoff simulators. Colts go 3-1. It's like a 98% chance they make the dance. Only 2% chance, obviously, they get out. And they end up headed to Cancun, whatever they're going to do in the offseason. So your chances are good. Do I think that it's a lock? No, I don't. Because too often this year, and it's not really a narrative anymore. I get it, they beat the Bills. But look at what the Bills have done this year. Like, the AFC, to an extent, is wide open. But I think, and again, this is tough for me to say this, because I know how passionate the Colts fan base is. But I think it's going to be one of those top-tier teams in the AFC is going to gain separation. They're going to be able to get through this war-torn area of the AFC where it seems like at times that no one really wants to win the damn thing. And they're going to come out on top. Is it going to be my Chiefs? Is it going to be the Patriots? It'll be the Ravens, the Bills, the Titans, I don't know. But every one of those teams I've listed have had a moment this year where it's like, they're not a contender. They're not going to the Super Bowl. And it's how you adjust and right that ship properly. Now, that being said, the door is open for the Colts. I do not think that this is a Super Bowl caliber roster. I don't. There's flaws in it to a point where I feel like they're eventually going to get beat. That doesn't mean don't root for them. Crazy things have happened in sports all the time. The fact that you have a ticket, or could have a ticket, I should say, to the race for the Lombardi Trophy, I'll take that all day. I will take that every day of the week. But in order to get there, you have to take care of your business, and that starts next week against New England. Next Saturday, in fact, a primetime affair. The Colts, year over year, Colts fans complaining about not having a primetime home game in 7 years. Now you got 2 of them. And it wasn't just because, or it's no longer just, it's a Thursday night throwaway game. Hooray. No, it's Saturday night. Primetime at Lucas Oil. Colts fans getting their wish. Will they make good on that and rise to the occasion? That remains to be seen. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we come back from this break. Before we do that, though, I want to remind you, upcoming today at 11:30, the Dean himself, Mike Chappell of Fox 59 and CBS 4. Take some time with us. I'll ask Chappie how he feels about the team going to the bye week. Strengths, weaknesses, where he needs to see adjustments against New England. Additionally, family friend of mine, Van Mitchell, is in the house today. He's a junior at Cathedral. He's shadowing our show, as well as he'll probably shadow an edition of the Dan Dockett show next week. But we will get his as well as Corbin's picks for a couple games today, as well as some postseason awards. I'll give you my picks as we do that a little bit later in the show. And we'll look at the Colts playoff chances, big picture. But coming up next, we'll listen to a little bit more Colts audio, how they feel about facing Bill Belichick and the Patriots next Saturday night at Lucas Oil Stadium, where they need to go over these next 4, at least 3-1, if they want any chance of making the postseason. I'm Jimmy Cook. Hit me with a follow on Twitter at @TheJCook. This is the Way Too Early pregame show. Colts, Pats, look ahead. We come back on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. It's your fire safe response.
Dan Dockich here for PXG Clubs. With PXG Clubs, performance is in the bag. I just got custom fitted for my new set of PXG Clubs over at the Golf Club of Indiana. At Golf Club of Indiana, they have indoor and outdoor fitting bays with TrackMan technology to get your new PXG Clubs fully optimized for distance, accuracy, and feel. Get ready to increase your performance like me and enjoy the game with PXG Clubs. Schedule your custom fitting experience at pxg.com or 844-PLAY-PXG.
Hey, it's JMV from Mark Dito Realty. Simply put, the absolute best. 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com. MarkDietel.com today. I always tell you about how great he is, and here's another example of it. Ann and Jeffrey in Zionsville. So we're ready to retire and enjoy the warm, dry winters in Arizona. To afford our dream retirement, we needed to maximize the equity in our home. We heard Mark Dito was the man for the job, and it is true. Mark, in fact, sold our home for $40,000 over list price. That's what Mark Dito can do for you. So if you want to jump into the housing market, here's what I want you to do right now. Call Mark Dito Realty, who guarantees multiple offers in 3 days for full market value, or he's going to sell it for free. 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, MarkDietel.com today.
Diamonds Direct is giving you one more holiday gift of 25% savings just in time for Christmas. A last-minute last-minute sale on all earrings this weekend. Yes! Save an unprecedented 25% off all earrings at Diamonds Direct. Diamond earrings, sapphire earrings, gold earrings. Get Diamonds Direct's unbeatable price plus an extra 25% savings. All diamond studs are included, so this is huge. Special financing, too. It's Friday through Sunday only. A truly epic earring event at Diamonds Direct. Details, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe. My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
From city streets to back roads. From road warrior to carpooler. There are some things you can always count on. Like the reliability, durability, and power of Die Hard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on Die Hard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
After I came home from Iraq, I could still hear the booms. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
Thanks to DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories great and small.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Dan vs. Fan, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings app. Use code 1075FAN to get in on all the action.
Join us on The Fan and listen to Jason Hammer on You Bet with Bet Rivers, 7 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays, where you can get all the betting advice you would ever need. Hey, wake up. We're talking football. It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Way Too Early pregame show. I'm your host, Jimmy Cook. Here in the DriveHuber.com studios. Next week, an all-important matchup for your Indianapolis Colts as they welcome the hoodie, Bill Belichick, Mac Jones and company into Lucas Oil Stadium. Prime time under those Lucas Oil lights. It'll be a fun matchup. I'm not sure where the contest itself will go. If you made me pick today, I would probably take New England. And the reason is that the Colts this year, cannot be argued, have struggled mightily against playoff teams. And that Bills win, I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It was a complete performance. But unless it's just the perfect matchup schematically, and it was the perfect matchup schematically, because the Bills, even though at the time they were rated as a top-tier running defense, they'd really only played Derrick Henry, who ran for 180, and they lost. The Bills did. And that's it. That's the whole list in terms of running backs of top-tier caliber they faced. And Jonathan Taylor ran all over them. And it was a historic performance. Do you need that every week from Jonathan Taylor? No. Do I think that running the football 30-plus times is going to beat New England? No, I don't. I don't think throwing it 50 times is going to do it either. You've learned that already. But it's a situational game. You need to feel things out. And if Taylor has a hot hand and is running all over them, then by all means, give him the ball 30 times. I'm not going to knock something that's working, but you have to be able to read what the defense is giving you. And you have to hope, like I said, I'm putting Carson Wentz mid-tier in the NFL. And some Carson Wentz detractors or haters would probably say I'm being too generous with that. But I'm fine with doing that. On any given week, I'm fine with putting him middle of the pack. And to be middle of the pack is to, at your best, be able to hit an open receiver deep, and at your worst, take care of the football. That's it. Be a game manager if you're going to be running the ball 30, 40 times a game. And a couple people in the YouTube chat are acknowledging what I'm saying. There are pieces here for this Colts offense to be very balanced. By the way, if you want to engage in the YouTube chat, I do see your comments on there. Go to youtube.com, search the Way Too Early Pregame Show. Be a part of the conversation on there. I always like these 10 to noon shows because, again, we can only do so much in the way of programming, but 6 to 8, the crowd's actually still pretty solid, our 6 to 8 a.m. time slot. Shout out to those diehard viewers. I appreciate you, and listeners. I appreciate you a great, great deal. But the 10 to noon crowd, there's more faces in here. I appreciate you all supporting the show and supporting the fan. We will have some bets for you later in the day. Colin O'Connor in the chat asks, what are Jimmy's locks of the day today? I appreciate that. Those big scale pictures will be released a little bit later today, but we will be handing out on the show some bets that we like big picture. Now, in terms of this New England matchup, it's not a narrative anymore. I don't mean the fact that they can't beat playoff teams. I mean the fact that Bill Belichick is a defensive mastermind and is going to try to take away something you do extraordinarily well. He's proven it time and time again. Now, the obvious takeaway would be Jonathan Taylor. But your hope is that Jonathan Taylor, much like Derrick Henry, is somebody that you can't stop, but you can only hope to contain to a certain point. That's if you're a Colts fan, is where you hope that window is. You hope he can't be fully shut down. I don't think he can be. But that's still going to be something to watch out for in terms of, are they going to try to take away the running game right away? Are they going to try to do what Tampa Bay did? And if they do, that's where you need balance in play. I'm not going to go too much in depth about how ridiculous it was that you could possibly lose track of how many pass plays you had run. I don't understand how you let 26 straight passes go through the wayside and not know that it happened. But I also understand at least enough entry-level knowledge on an RPO that the quarterback in quick and decisive fashion has to make the decision if he's going to hand the ball off or if he's going to make a throw or keep it himself. And again, I can't defend 26 straight passes. I just can't. But I could get how you could run the ball once and then throw it 10 times and lose track of it. But 26, we've been over that a number of times on this show. That is wild. Let's go to Frank Reich and discuss, or at least hear from him, on the unique challenges that he feels are there when facing a Bill Belichick-led team.
He has a reputation for being able to, and he's earned the reputation for being able to take away what you do best. He's done that for a lot of years. He's very good at, each game plan is specifically designed for what the team does. He has the flexibility to use his players and his schemes in order to try to take away what you do best. That's how he's made the reputation for being one of the greatest coaches of all time.
That's exactly what I just mentioned. Everybody knows that. Everybody is fully aware that that's what Belichick does. There are few coaches in the NFL today that have that ability. It might not win them the game. If you have a good team that's able to adjust, it doesn't have to rely on just one thing, then it might not matter. And you walk out of there with a win and you send New England home packing. I know that Colts fans know that, or want that to happen, I should say. Nothing would make Colts fans happier, I think. And I know the sweep would have been beautiful. The idea of sweeping Brady and Belichick in the same year, I get it. Would have been extraordinary. You can still get one, though. And I know that in terms of wins on the season, that'll make Colts fans feel really good for a lot of reasons. You are sending somebody who you viewed as, I don't know if you want to say a rival, but you viewed as an adversary and somebody that you had great disdain for the better part of the last, 15 years? 15, 17 years, something like that. Probably 04, around there. So, yeah, I get it, that 03, 04 range. But the icing on the cake of that is that this Patriots team is good. They are very heavily talented. They're nearly, in fact, I think they are right now. If it ended today, I think they're the 1 seed. I could be wrong on that, but I believe if the season was to end today, and my producer Corbin is nodding his head, so I'm going to take his word for it. I believe if it ended today, they would be the top seed. Indeed, they are. Again, I'm not saying I'm drinking the Mac Jones Kool-Aid, but I'm drinking it enough to say this, and this is to the YouTube chat for those that saying I'm crazy for what I'm saying about Carson Wentz. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Mac Jones. I'm not going to throw Derek Carr in there. Those are 12 quarterbacks. If you gave me the choice, and there's maybe one or two names where I'd split hairs with you and say, all right, that's fine. But there's at least 10 names there that I would take today over Carson Wentz. I get it. I know that you can't do that, right? You're not going to say, oh, hey, Bengals, listen, Wentz for Burrow, straight up. Who says no? No, that's not happening. I understand that. But some people are saying that Wentz is top tier. No, he's not. He's not in that range. He is in the range of, and we're probably not being that for Lamar Jackson. He's probably higher up there. But he's in that Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan range. If you want to say he's the best of that group, fine, I'll give you that. I'll give you the tip of the cap. I'm not going to split hairs with you. But that's the range he's in. Now, there have been flashes this season where, yes, maybe he's looked like he's belonged inside that top 10 list. But to say that he is in the same range as Rodgers or Mahomes or Brady or Murray or Prescott or Burrow or Herbert or Allen or Jackson, it's not factual. Like, he might have the numbers to back it up, but I and the rest of the league, and you Colts fans as well, because you need to hold everybody to a higher standard, you need to see it over consecutive seasons if he's going to be your franchise guy. And by the way, when you've needed him to throw as much as other teams are sometimes willing to do, you know what's happened. We're in the same boat that I don't think Carson Wentz should be throwing at 50 times a game. But There is a reason that Tom Brady is not saying, let's hand the ball off to Leonard Fournette every play. Or that Dak Prescott's not saying, let's give the ball to Zeke every play. Now, Zeke's in that category of top-tier running backs, so maybe you'll hear that a little bit more. Herbert's not saying, Austin Eckler, take the ball, take it house. You know what they're doing? They're balanced. They are balanced offenses. They're able to beat you both ways. And if you're going to beat a team like New England, or if you're going to be able to make the playoffs, you're going up against, at the very least, one big-name quarterback over your next four, and that's Kyler Murray. Otherwise, you're going against Mac Jones, who has been quite a story this year. Again, I told you this in the first segment. I'm not ready to say that Mac Jones is the second coming of Tom Brady or anything like that. I'm just not. But he's having a heck of a year. And when you look at the trajectory of New England, it's quite a turnaround. They were a year behind in terms of doing what Brady did, which is win a Super Bowl without Belichick. But now they're back in the conversation. Now, the 1 seed, for crying out loud. I didn't see that coming at all to start the year. This is not going to be an easy matchup. It needs to be a balanced Colts attack. But for the love of all things holy, don't pass the ball for the sake of passing the ball, and don't run the ball for the sake of running the ball. Because even if Jonathan Taylor is the next Barry Sanders, which I'm not saying he is, but boy, is he a hell of a running back for sure. If defenses are able to take him away, it's like, well, it gets thrown around a lot on this show, but on a number of shows, right? Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If you're going to keep doing that against a team that's taking something away, like 26 straight passes or like 20 straight runs and a lot of 3-and-outs, you're going to get beat. Because the opposing defense is going to try to take away what you do best, and in particular, a team like New England is better at it than most in the league. That's all I'm saying. I need a balanced look against New England. The bright side is, I know this is an awful way to be a fan. You can lose against New England and your playoff hopes aren't dead yet, but you would have to win out after that. 3-1 is what you need. First bite at that apple comes this Saturday. We're going to step away. When we come back, we will close out the first hour of the program. Top of next hour, we'll hand out our home stretch awards for the Colts. Maybe look at some national players as well. 11:30, bottom of next hour, the Dean, Mike Chappell, getting us ready for Colts Patriots next week, as well as the Colts push for the playoffs. And then our final segment will hand out best bets of the day across the NFL. Any fantasy questions, send our way on the YouTube chat. Search the Way Too Early Pregame Show or follow me on Twitter at The J Cook. We'll try to get some shout-outs for you there. A lot of fantasy football playoffs taking place this weekend. Back to wrap up this first hour. Look ahead at some national games when we come back on the Way Too Early Pregame Show. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hubler has certified service and maintenance for the life of your vehicle. Get everyday value pricing on service and parts and schedule an appointment with ease at drivehubler.com.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
Hey, it's Stan Dockage here with my wife, the lovely Lee Ross. Lee, we've had several jobs done at our house by the Michaelis Corporation. You've dealt with them way more than I did. You know I forget everything. Remind me, what was the scheduled work they did and how'd it go?
They were great to work with. Michaelis rebuilt a roof over our sunroom and a structure over our 2-story deck so we could sit outside on the lower level even when it's raining. The ladies at the office kept me informed every step of the way, and Michaelis did everything they said they would on schedule.
Here's what I know. It looks great, and you are happy. And when you are happy, I know it got done right, and oh, by the way, I'm happy.
Bill, Dave, James, Brandon, and the whole crew from Michaelis did a great job around the Dockage House.
Besides being great general contractors, Michaelis has experts in waterproofing, foundation repair, mold remediation, indoor air quality, emergency fire and flood restoration, and insurance restoration. Spelled Michaelis, pronounced Michaelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY or michaeliscorp.com.
Hey, guys, no pressure here, but if you really want to make this the best holiday ever, ask her already. What's more romantic than a holiday proposal? Come to Shane Company to see our amazing selection of unique engagement rings, crafted to last forever. Our warranty is free for a lifetime, and it even covers the center stone. No matter your budget, we'll help you create the perfect ring. We also have rings already set with a center stone, ready to go. And let's talk about center stones. All of our diamonds are conflict-free and natural, handpicked for their beauty. And Tom Shane personally selects our rubies and sapphires in Bangkok. We have so many center stones to choose from, plus we're a direct importer, which means we pass the savings on to you. All right, guys, make it happen.
Book a virtual or an in-store appointment with a non-commissioned jewelry consultant, or just drop by the store. Check our website for hours. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Save big on Christmas items at Miss Mary's Gift Shop at Sundown Gardens. All gift shop merchandise is now 30 to 50% off through December 23rd. This includes holiday and everyday decor, ornaments, gnomes, garlands, and more. Even their food items, jewelry, and apparel will be on sale. Still looking for a Christmas tree? Visit the greenhouse for fresh-cut Christmas trees, greenery, wreaths, and roping. Live greens and trees are not included in the sale. Merry Christmas from Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
It's JMV. Basketball fans celebrate the NBA's 75th anniversary season on FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now, new customers can place their first bet risk-free. And if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give this a shot. You got a favorite player, you can go point total, rebounds, assists, maybe a money line. But use the promo code JMV today. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JMV to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 and make every moment more this NBA season. That promo code JMV, 21 plus and present in Indiana. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. I didn't want to admit it, but I have PTSD.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding help and learning that I wasn't alone.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
For our troops and their families, the military is more than a career. It's a journey. And every step along the way, the USO is there.
It's an experience that soldier will never forget. That's what the USO does.
Be a part of their journey. Learn more today at USO.org.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but you grew up and things changed. Well, it's time to put it back on your list. Innovative things are happening in teaching today, and you can be a part of it.
Make more.
Teach. Visit teach.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
With an easy refinance, our clients, on average, save over $350 a month. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
NMLS number 1326241.
It's never too early for football.
Yeah, it's too early.
It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Way Too Early pregame show. YouTube chat feisty today. I like it. I don't like everything that's being said in terms of the takes that are being thrown around there, but I do like it. I didn't say Russell Wilson was a top 10 quarterback today. I did say, though, that in terms of ranking him places, and I'm not going off of just numbers, I'm going about who I would want under center. Yes, I would take Russell Wilson over Carson Wentz. Yes, I'm not thinking about that. I'm sleeping soundly like a baby if I made that move. Additionally, I didn't think we'd have this. And I don't know if some of my family's invaded the chat, but it can't be because this gentleman has defended Carson Wentz a little bit in this day. But props to Jeremy Menning giving a little Larry Johnson love in the chat today. Did not expect that out of nowhere. I don't know if I agree with you, but I still love Larry Johnson, former Chiefs running back, getting some love. He said running excessively could make Taylor end up like Larry Johnson did in KC. A couple brilliant seasons, then a massive fall off. Well, you might want to search Larry Johnson a little bit. There's a little more to it than that. But I also think that's you don't need to worry about that because the Chiefs, you could make an argument, did a lot of the same thing with Jamal Charles, and he turned out just fine. So I wouldn't worry about that. And I've said this before, it's rarefied air, but Jamal Charles, in terms of running backs across this has a Colts point. Relax. Jamal Charles across the NFL record books, and I think the minimum is like 250 attempts, but in terms of yards per carry, Jamal Charles is the most successful running back at yards per carry in the entire history of the NFL. Jonathan Taylor today would be in that mix once he gets to that point. Now, again, and I mentioned this earlier, and he's going to get a little bit of airtime in our next segment, but family friend and a Chiefs fan in his own right, Junior at Cathedral, Van Mitchell's in the house today, and he will glare at me for saying this, and again, I'm not saying this because Jamal Charles is in a rarefied air for us Chiefs fans because the dude was just a beast. But maybe not as much with the pass catching. Every now and again, you've seen flashes of it with Jonathan Taylor. I'm not saying he can't do it, but Jamal Charles was a do-it-all. Taylor is an excellent running back. Do I think he could get close to Charles? I don't know. But he runs with a purpose like Jamal Charles did, like Derrick Henry does. You can tell when he gets the ball in his hands, for the most part, unless you're getting the box stacked or unless you're getting everybody keying on you, he's going to be able to make a big play. I mean, it's just, I really like Taylor. Now, again, Colts, much like Kansas City did, have invested heavily in their offensive line. And I get it. I know it's a top-tier offensive line, but I'm not going to knock Jonathan Taylor for that. The dude has great vision. He finds holes excellently, and I would not worry about him. Running backs will phase out, and there will come a day where you are going to be in a situation years from now where it's like, do we really pay this guy? That's a conversation for another day. I don't pay running backs. I don't believe in it. I'm not saying don't let them make money, but like it's an expendable position. However, right now, enjoy it and live it up because Jonathan Taylor is one of the most fun, if not the most fun, non-quarterbacks in the National Football League right now. We're going to step away. We come back. We'll hand out some home stretch awards. A little bit later, the Dean Mike Chappell stops by, preview Colts Pats, get his thoughts on Colts playoff push and what needs to happen for them to get there. It's the Way Too Early pregame show. Back in a moment on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
Hey, it's JMV here, and people ask me all the time, how can we get a world-class wine at an affordable price delivered right to our door in the safety of our own home? And I say, here's your answer. Cameron Hughes Wine has a unique business model. In fact, they're sourcing top-rated wines directly from the best wineries around the world. Luxury wines at affordable prices. These are wines at an already amazing value for the price. And today, you can get top-rated, award-winning wines at incredible savings. Cameron Hughes is offering a deal exclusively to my listeners, so listen up. 20% off and free shipping on 3 or more bottles. Top-rated, award-winning wines at chwine.com. Promo code JMV for 20% off 3 bottles or more plus free shipping. chwine.com. Promo code JMV.
The holidays are here, and at Lover's Lane, finding a gift for the one you love has never been more fun. Sexy and provocative lingerie, petite to full sizes, exciting games for couples, massage oils, and intimate bedroom essentials. Sure, Lover's Lane has gifts for the naughty, but we also have the nicest and coolest gifts too. Who needs mistletoe anyway when you've got Lover's Lane, the gift and toy store for grown-ups? Want a gift that's sure to please? Give a Lover's Lane gift card.
Hey, it's JMV with my daughter, Lainey.
Hello.
Lainey, why don't you tell everybody why you're here?
Because I'm helping you announce the Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month winner.
Each month, you can enter your child's picture in Forum's Sprout of the Month contest.
It can be a school pic, a pic with them playing a sport, even a pic with your dad.
The winner receives $100 in a Sprout account, Forum Credit Union's college savings account.
It helps kids like me save money for college.
And with the recent events, it's more important now to teach your young folks how to save.
Dad, I think it's time for this month's winner.
This month's winner of Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month is Brixton from Plainfield.
Well, Dad, another one in the books. Hey, what's the over-under for the winner next month?
You gotta stop listening to my show. Remember, go to 1075thefan.com and read about the complete details on Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month. Lainey and I will be back next month with another winner from 1075 The Fan and Forum Credit Union. It's JMV for Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. That's markdeedle.com, Mark, DIETEL.com today. All right, Dwayne and Susan in Bargersville. They were ready to downsize, but unsure on how to sell and find a new place at the same time. It seemed a little bit overwhelming. Enter Mark Deedle. He shared his plan on how to maximize their home price and find them the perfect new home for their needs. That's exactly what he did. That's what Mark Deedle will do for you. And in fact, Mark's going to guarantee you this. He is going to guarantee you multiple offers in 3 days for full market value, or he's going to sell it for free. It's Mark Deedle Realty, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. My man Mark Deedle online, markdeedle.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
It could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. There's never been a better time for a cash-out refinance. Thehomeloanexpert.com.
NMLS number 1326-241.
Dan versus Fan, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings app. Use code 1075FAN to get in on all the action.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your football games are? It's the Way Too Early pregame show with your host, Jimmy Cook.
Good morning, welcome to the Way Too Early Pregame Show. Hour number 2, our final hour of the program. Bottom of this hour, the Dean, Mike Chappell of Fox 59 and CBS 4 will join us. We will pen the Dean's mind on Colts heading in to their matchup with the New England Patriots next Saturday, as well as getting his thoughts on the playoff push as a whole, what he wants to see from an adjustment standpoint from the Colts, if anything, as they head into these final 4 games of the season. But first, we've teased it a little bit today. I'm going to hand out some home stretch awards, if you will. These would ordinarily be mid-season awards, but because the Colts bye week is so late into the season, we figured we would just have it as your home stretch awards, who at this point in the year you would give awards to. Now, we mentioned this a couple times in the program. Van Mitchell Jr. at Cathedral High School is job shadowing today and will be in next week as well. So we're going to get Van's thoughts on who he would give a couple national awards to here in a moment. But first, we're going to stay locally, and we will start with Rookie of the Year honors for your Indianapolis Colts. Corbin, I will go first, and I'm going to let our producer Corbin get in on this as well. To me, when you look at the Colts as a whole, I understand that it's, I don't want to say a cop-out, but when you look at what the team has done, big picture, I think it's got to go to Kwity Paye. 22 tackles for him on the year, including 3 sacks, and 3 of those coming for loss. So yeah, I would probably go Paye, only because when you look at the rest of the Colts' first-round picks, they're not first-round picks, but picks this year, there's not a ton that have been jump off the page good. I know a lot of people want Dayo Odeyingbo to be a big thing here, and he's been fine, but he hasn't been, whether it's just whatever you want to chalk it up to, Paye has taken advantage of his opportunities, particularly here in the second half of the year. I will go Kwity Paye. What about you?
Yeah, I got to agree with you on Kwity Paye. The big question in the offseason was who's going to replace Justin Houston, who they let walk. I think Paye is on track to do that. I don't think he's exactly at Houston's level, but that's what happens when you get a veteran who gets some time in the league. But Paye, I think, is on a good pace to be the next great Colts pass rusher.
Completely agree with you there. And that's, I know, what a lot of Colts fans would like to hear. As you mentioned, and as I kind of alluded to as well, plenty of room for growth, plenty of room to continue to improve. He's obviously just a rookie, but yeah, that's your hope, is that he is the next perfect piece for this defensive line that can constantly get after the quarterback. By the way, if you have suggestions on that, or if you would like to participate in the conversation, youtube.com, search the Way Too Early Pregame Show. The chat right there. Feel free to send your suggestions out as well. We'll now go to Offensive Player of the Year. Now, this is a tough angle to go after because we're also going to give away an MVP as well. So, and some people might be confused by this because of the way I've talked about him a bit on this show. If I was to go Offensive Player of the Year, I'll give away my MVP now. It's Jonathan Taylor, right? There's not a conversation about that. But I don't want to give it to Jonathan Taylor twice. So, Offensive Player of the Year, I am going to give it to Carson Wentz. And here is why. Because from a numbers standpoint, I mean just strictly numbers and not getting too deep into the weeds. Yes, contrary to what I mentioned, and a couple people pointed this to me in the YouTube chat, I was aware of it, but from a numbers standpoint, yes, he's right around 11th or 10th. He's on the fringe of the top 10. I still stand by everything I said. You look at that list of quarterbacks and you tell me that you wouldn't take the names I rattled off over Wentz, almost all of them, maybe a couple you wouldn't, then you're being a fanboy and you're not looking big picture and you're not being an unbiased third party. But he's just under 3,000 yards passing. That's good enough for 11th in the National Football League. 22 touchdowns to his credit, only 5 picks. He has done what you've asked him to do, and he's done it in a year where he's had to come in cold, albeit with familiarity from Frank Reich, them having worked together previously in Philadelphia. But he's come out and he's done it for the most part with high-level confidence and has shined. Now, I still think that, and I'm always going to have my doubts, until he gets back to where he was, and I don't even mean 2017 wins. I mean until he gets back to just on a consistent basis doing this, and that's going to be over a couple seasons, assuming you Colts fans view him as a franchise piece. It's going to need to happen over a couple seasons. But given everything that he had to overcome and his return back to the NFL, but you know what I mean, back as a starter in the National Football League, he's shown that he's capable of doing it. And tip of the cap to him, and tip of the cap to the numbers that he's put up to this point. Corbin, if you were going to give an Offensive Player of the Year, and you don't have to pay attention to my rules if you want to give them both to Jonathan Taylor, that's totally fine. But who would you give Offensive Player of the Year to right now if you had to choose?
Well, if you're not going to give them both to Jonathan Taylor, then I guess I won't either.
All right.
I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go to the guy who Wentz has been throwing to, Michael Pittman Jr.
Good call, sir.
Yes, he's had a couple of drops this season. Well, I should say more than a couple of drops. But when his number has been called, especially when T.Y. was out earlier in the year, he really stepped up into that wide receiver one role that the Colts were desperately looking for, especially with T.Y. starting to get up there in age and only be on a one-year contract.
I left it off the board in the hopes that you would scoop him, and I'm proud that you did because you're 1,000% right on that. And in particular, I don't have the stat in front of me, but for a while, his third down percentages were off the charts. You needed somebody to go make a big catch, extend the drive, be a reliable target. It was Michael Pittman Jr. It's been Michael Pittman Jr. this whole year. And if you're looking for, it's tough because they're in the same draft class, so it's tough to say breakout player of the year because maybe you could make the case Jonathan Taylor as well. But yeah, if we were giving out a breakout player of the year for the Colts, it would be Michael Pittman Jr., the leaps he's taken from his rookie season to now. He's 12th in the league with receptions at 67, 11th in the league in yardage at 882. Only 5 touchdown passes, but again, if you look up and down this Colts roster, there's not a ton of touchdowns from receivers across the board. Now, a lot of that has been dominated by the fact that you have Jonathan Taylor. Why not hand it off to him, let him go get 6? I get that, but given where the volume of passes have been, and given for him to still be 12th in the National Football League, and as Corbin mentions, him answering the call time and time again, it's hard to argue him as an Offensive Player of the Year, and at a minimum, a surefire winner of a breakout Player of the Year for the Indianapolis Colts. Last one, I apologize. I'm not going to get in the weeds of special teams. If Corbin wants to do that, he can. But strictly from a defensive perspective, Defensive Player of the Year, there's a number of options you can go with on this Colts defense. Corbin, I'm going to let you go first here. I've gone first the last 2 times. I'm going to let you go first in terms of if you were to pick somebody for your Defensive Player of the Year, who would it be?
You know, it's kind of hard to choose on that team because they're number 1 in terms of turnovers. I'm really liking Darius Leonard still. I know that sometimes he doesn't play quite up to the caliber as he did his rookie year, but at the same time, he's still the guy who will strip the ball when the ball needs poked out, when you need a stop on third down. He's the guy who's going to step up and be able to keep the ball in your court when you need it to be.
I am going to, I was going to say Darius, but I figured that, like I said, I did that on purpose because I wanted to give you the opportunity to have first dibs at it. It's hard to argue the peanut punch. It's hard to argue his playmaking ability. If I was to go somewhere else, and Okereke deserves in that conversation with him leading the team in tackles, get 107 on the year, I would probably go Kenny Moore. And the reason I would go Kenny Moore is that cornerbacks are highly undervalued across the NFL. And it's arguably the toughest position to play in the National Football League. Like, if I had to pick a position that I wouldn't want to play, I mean, it'd be tough to be in the trenches, I'm sure. I mean, it's a whole other beast going up against some of the best offensive and defensive linemen in the league. But if we take that off the board and we just go outside positions or positions that aren't in the trenches, my least favorite would probably be corner, because a lot of times it is your job on an island to go make a play and take out the other team's best receiving options. And sure, there's been times where more, like the rest of this Colts secondary, has been burned, but 4 interceptions to his name this year, 77 tackles as well. and he's also have a forced fumble to his name. So he's doing a little bit of everything for the Colts. This is a great defense. He's tied for 7th, so in the top 10 in terms of picks so far this season, and 15th in the league in tackles. So I would probably go more if we took Leonard off the board like we did. That's the direction that I would structure there. Most valuable player, I mean, are we even really talking about this?
No, it's Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, and I think that, look, we're going to go to Van here in a second, and I'm interested to see. I don't want to poison the well. I'm interested to see what he picks from a national standpoint. He's going to give us a Rookie of the Year and a MVP. But I know Colts fans, you want Taylor to get the MVP award. I understand. It's not going to happen. He would need, like that Buffalo game, doesn't need to be like 5 touchdowns. 5, right? Fish 5. Well, it doesn't need to be 5 touchdowns. But he would need like a 3 or 4 touchdown a game run over the next 4 for him to steal this. It's a tough, insanely tough award to win as a running back. At least since I've been alive. The primary recipients are quarterbacks. Yeah, pretty much it. It's pretty much quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are usually the ones that take home this award. Now, LaDainian Tomlinson and Adrian Peterson, both in the last 20 years, have won it. So it's not impossible. It's a tough hill to climb. Now, Van, I bring you in. And I didn't give you a full rundown, but just obviously talking to the microphone, pull that a little bit closer to you, to the left. Van, explain to people why it is your job shadowing the show.
I'm
a junior at Cathedral.
Yeah, I'm a junior at Cathedral, and it's like this post-winter break, and we get to job shadow someone, and I chose my family friend, Jimmy Cook. He does this cool show. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Thank you for reading that statement on that paper that I paid you to read. I appreciate that. So in terms of Rookie of the Year, there's a lot of electric names you could go with. I know I kind of gave you this task before the show started. Who would you give a Rookie of the Year award to at this point in the season?
Rookie of the Year, on the defensive side of the ball, I'd have to go with Micah Parsons. He has 10 or so sacks. I'd say the core of the Dallas defense really turned that defense around.
Yeah, right on the money with that. 10 sacks for him, 72 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. Yeah, he's been an absolute beast. I think he hit that one right out of the park.
And for offensive, I think it's pretty obvious right now, Mac Jones. I don't know his stats, but it's Mac Jones.
No, you're exactly right on that as well. Those are the 2 people I'd give it to. Jones, from a numbers standpoint, around the same territory as Wentz, getting close to 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 68 rushing yards to his name as well. Had you asked me 3 weeks ago, I probably would have given it to Jamar Chase 3 or 4 weeks ago. He's fallen off a tad. Still, though, for a rookie, just south of 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns to his credit as well, 55 receptions. He's on my fantasy team, and I could really use a little bit more from him here. It's playoff time. But, yeah, I agree with you. I'd go Mac Jones and Micah Parsons there. Now, I'm very curious where you go with this. Overall MVP, who would you give it to and why?
MVP has to go to Tom Brady. Jonathan Taylor, running backs just don't win MVP.
It's very tough.
I could see him getting Offensive Player of the Year, but Tom Brady's leading the league in touchdowns and yards. He has the good narrative for it. So, yeah, I'd have to go with Tom Brady.
Yeah, and the narrative that the narrative that Van is referring to there is, of course, that the dude is 44.
Yeah,
he's 44 years old. And I get it. I know it's not a popular name in this town. Look, you know this about me. I love my Chiefs. I'd love Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP. I appreciate Van, even though I would have respected it. I appreciate him not saying Mahomes MVP this year because that would have looked like a homer move from us. But I would have tipped the cap and respect the hell out of it had he done that. That being said, I don't want to give this award to Tom Brady. Tom Brady and then the Buccaneers defense ripped yet another hole in my heart a year ago in the Super Bowl. We're not going to revisit that too much. But Colts fans, I know the pain. I do. Tom Brady has caused as much agony as anybody Maybe not as much as the Colts, but I feel it. I feel the pain. I get it. That being said, he's closing in on 4,000 yards. I know he's thrown 10 picks. That's a little out of the ordinary, but quite frankly, it's a lot like the Mahomes picks in that there's been a couple of those where it's been a pass that his receiver should have caught. They got tipped, and that's just unlucky. You're not going to hear me sit on this train and say that, oh, we need to change the way interceptions are categorized. That's too tough. And I feel bad for the interns that would have to go and watch hundreds and thousands of hours of film to figure out what's a pick and what's not a pick to reevaluate those stats. So that's never going to change. But that being said, closing in on 4,000 yards passing and 34 touchdowns. Second in the league in QBR as well at 66.1. It is insane what he's doing. And man, I hate it. I can't stand it that Ben Roethlisberger is about to be carted off in a wheelchair into the sunset for retirement. I'm obviously over-exaggerating there, and he came out a couple years after Brady. Like, it is baffling. It is baffling to see other players that were in the league when Tom Brady was, that are now gray-haired and are on your televisions in the broadcasting role that you figure that if Brady wanted to, which he probably won't, he's probably not interested in that, but that he could easily transition to if he wanted to. Hell, there's players that were playing in the NFL at the height of their powers in Brady's career that now have children in the National Football League. Like, you can't knock that. You can't knock that from a narrative standpoint. I get it. I know they shouldn't be narrative awards, but that's a small piece because he's backing it up with what he's doing on the field. Great job, Van. Great job on the selections. I appreciate you contributing here. We might get a little bit more of Van. We'll get a pick or two from Van on the games in our final segment, but he'll be back next week as well as we shadow again here on the Way Too Early pregame show. So those are some of your season awards. We're a little late into this segment. I figured this would happen with the awards. So, Corbin, if you could mark somewhere where we need to be out to be on time for Chappie. But I am going to review at least one or two of these games right now before we break. And we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns are favored by about 3, 2.5. We'll say 3 because of the fact that that's what it was when we published these notes around 11 o'clock midnight last night. But you could probably get it at 2.5 in some places. Now, a week ago, laughed at the idea of the Ravens only being favored by 4.5 against Pittsburgh. Because I thought Pittsburgh was a broken team. And I still stand by that. I get it. It was a short turnaround, and Kansas City's going to have to do that next week. But look what happened on Thursday against the Vikings. I know they almost came back, but they need a quarterback change. They need a lot of things done, but the defense still has animals on there. I'm not going to fully knock them. However, I say that because I thought that it'll be an easy move for the Ravens to get that victory. Now you're in Cleveland, and you look at the playoff picture. The Browns are still in the hunt to an extent, but if you're a Colts fan, you're hoping they just fade away. And I think there's a good chance for that to happen today. I'm going to scoop the 3, we're going to call it the 3. I'm going to scoop the 3 on the Baltimore Ravens in Cleveland today. That'll 1 o'clock kick against the Cleveland Browns. Corbin, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but agree, disagree with that? Baltimore at Cleveland, would you scoop the points you're getting with Baltimore, or would you ride at Baker Mayfield and company at home?
I would scoop with Baltimore.
And the Ravens have been at times as one of those flawed teams in the AFC. We talked about how there's not a real true front runner right now, but Baltimore's had hiccups at times, just like any of these alleged or mentioned contenders have. But at some point, you need to separate. And you're still, in theory, in a tight race for the AFC North crown with Cincinnati. You can't afford to drop games. I would go with Baltimore if I was forced to make that choice there. We won't utilize any audio on that game or this following game. Jaguars at Titans. Titans are favored by 8.5 points. Corbin, would you hop on the back of Trevor Lawrence's shoulders and scoop that 8.5?
It depends on what Titans team you're going to see today. Because if it's the team that's been playing since Derrick Henry went out with injury, then yes, I would jump on Trevor Lawrence's back. But if it's a Titans team where Ryan Tannehill gets back to that level that it was expected to make in order for him to get that massive contract extension he did with Tennessee, then I'm going to take Tennessee.
I understand this is a cop-out. I apologize, but I'm the host of the show, so I'm gonna play the I do what I want card here. This is a stay-away game for me for all the reasons that Corman just mentioned, and then on top of one other thing. And you're not going to hear me slander anybody here, but there are growing reports, and it's been all season long, so whether or not it's just a narrative against Coach Urban Meyer or whether it's truth, and I'm sure it's kind of a balance in between, but there's rumors of more turmoil in the Jaguars locker room. And this is a team that, 2 wins right now? Is that right? 2 wins on the season? So, 2-10. I don't know. They've yet to win a game in the division. Do I think they could cover? Sure. But Corbin's right. With the way the Titans have been playing since Henry got hurt, and A.J. Brown being out as well, I mean, they're relying on how the Falcons were 2 years ago. They are relying on Julio Jones to be the number one option. And even he's struggled with injuries this year. I don't know. I haven't checked his status yet for today, so he's playing all right. So you'll have him, but there's been severe struggles for Tennessee. And I thought Tennessee wasn't going to be a real contender this year before Henry got hurt. I thought it'd be a contender, but I figured they'd falter at some point. I hate that this is how it happened with injuries. I never wish that on any team. But you got to deal with the hand that you're dealt. And I can't sit here feeling too bad for them, particularly when they still lead the South. I think Tennessee still wins this game, but because there's so many question marks behind both teams, I would scoop the 8.5 if I was forced to, but again, I wouldn't bet this game. There's too many variables that go one way or the other for both these teams. They've both been very inconsistent. The Titans, especially so as of late. That is what I would do. I would push that game. So again, scoop the 3 for the Ravens, and I would just stay away from Jaguars at Titans. When we come back, the Dean Mike Chappell of Fox United CBS 4 will join us. We'll talk to Chappie about how he feels about the direction of the Colts right now, get his adjustments for this final stretch of the season, Colts playoff chances, all that fun stuff. We'll go around the NFL a little bit more and hand out our final best bets for Week 14 in the NFL. Mike Chappell, Fox United CBS 4, up next on the Way Too Early pregame show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
It takes everyone in the community working together to create a brighter future. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Visit liveunited.org to learn how you can help.
Light up the holidays with a personalized gift from Shane Company.
A diamond accented charm necklace with her baby's initial, because she's a new mom.
A beautiful 14-karat gold necklace personalized with her birthstone, because the world is better with her in it.
A breathtaking ruby and diamond ring engraved with the date you met, because it was meant to be.
Shane Company will help you create a gift that shows how much you care. With so many unique styles to choose from and the most beautiful diamonds and gemstones, you can create a meaningful gift. We have the highest standards for quality and craftsmanship. Whether you spend a couple $100s or many thousands, she'll know that you put your heart into her gift. Book a virtual or an in-store appointment with a non-commissioned jewelry consultant, or just drop by the store. Check our website for hours. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Hey, it's Big Joe reminding you to stop into one of Payless Liquor's 26 family-owned stores for gifts and party supplies. 175s of Canadian Club are only $16.99, Fireball $21.99, and Grey Goose $39.99. Woodford 750s are $39.99, and Benchmark Pints just $3.99. Follow Payless Liquors on social media and the newsletter so you'll always know about special events and right-to-purchase contests, like the one this Saturday from 11 to 2 at the E Street location. All the information is online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
The NFL is nearing the playoffs, and Week 14 gives us a big divisional rematch against the rival Browns and Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger, because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means you can win $150 on just a $5 bet. A huge matchup in the AFC North. I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are rolling right now, and I think that continues when they take on the Browns, but you could feel different and go with Cleveland. FanDuel is sports betting made simple. That's why they're always hooking you up with great offers like this one. That's also why they're the #1 rated sportsbook app in America, because the app is safe, secure, and easy to use. And when you win, you get paid in as little as 2 hours. So sign up today with promo code MARK before this Sunday afternoon's matchup between the Browns and Ravens, and you can win $150 on a $5 bet. Again, that's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C. 21 and over and present in Indiana. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Napa Know How.
Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa Full Synthetic Motor Oil is only $19.99. It's the hottest deal of the year for the coldest time of the year. So if you're in your car right now, there's no need to turn on the heat. I'm about to read this sizzler again. That's Napa Full Synthetic for a hot $19.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa Know How.
Napa Know How.
At participating locations does not include taxes and fees. Advertised sale price not available in some states. Offer ends 12/31/21.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
I asked what kind of family she wanted. She said, a family like yours.
Learn more about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an extreme flash flood.
Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Talk to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Your support helps the Red Cross be there every day for disasters big and small. Make your donation today by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS or by visiting redcross.org.
Kids, this holiday season, tell your parents about Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
Hey, wake up. We're talking football. It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Way Too Early pregame show. I'm your host, Jimmy Cook. Be sure to join us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search Way Too Early pregame show. Be a part of the conversation. We now head to the phone lines, and I must say a massive, massive thank you to our first and only guest today, the one, the only, the dean himself, Mike Chappell of Fox 59 and CBS 4. Chappie, this is the first time I've actually interviewed you before. I've usually been on the producer's chair, so I'm happy about that. But secondly, a bye week, my friend. I greatly appreciate you taking time off from the bye to talk with our sorry show here on the Way Too Early pregame show.
What a lead in. No, I enjoy it. I have a good time. So no, my time's your time. Just be gentle.
Of course, not a problem. Happy to do that, Chap. First thing I want to get your thoughts on is, you've covered this team as long as anybody in this market and are one of the most tenured writers across the league. So you've seen it all, Chap. In terms of I don't just mean an emotional standpoint, but in terms of the momentum around this team going up against another, not a playoff team in this case, but another team that is likely headed to the playoffs. Where's the mentality on this 4-game season to close it all out? I know you had a piece with Jack Doyle sharing some similar sentiments about a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is, ideally you'd like to be in better shape. You'd like not to have blown games against Baltimore and Tennessee and all that, but this is where you are. And if you told these guys back in August that, hey, you're going to be right there, you're going to be, what are they, the 9th or 10th seed right now. And I'm telling you, coming at it today, if I'm looking at it right, they could probably be as high as a 6, I think, if Buffalo and Cincinnati both lose, I think.
Yep.
But all that means is you still have to win your games. But what's encouraging is they don't really need outside help. They can kind of do this on their own. But that means beating teams that are decent teams, which they've had trouble doing this year. I mean, we've beaten that to death. And the New England game, it's kind of like the double whammy. You've got to beat a good team, and you've got to beat a good team that's really had your number for a long time. So it's interesting how Frank Reich will address this. I think he did a little bit last week about, do you tell the players the New England, not mistake, but the history and all that. And I think he sort of said that they know, but most of these players haven't been involved with hardly any of this New England dynasty dominance. T.Y. and Jack Doyle have, but by and large, Jonathan Taylor doesn't know. I mean, he may know, but he wasn't part of it. So, but these are the games that if you think you're a playoff team, and the Colts clearly do, these are the games you find a way to make the plays that need to be made. And, that's what's kind of cool about this, is they're in position to do that.
I hate to rip up my own heart here. Mike Chappell joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at mchappell. On Twitter for mchappell51, on Twitter. But I hate to rip up my own heart, but you saw that this past week with Wisconsin beating Indiana. IU hasn't won there since 98. Right. And they asked some of the Wisconsin players, I know it's not a rivalry like that, but they asked them, did you know that this streak had been going on? And most of them had no idea. I mean, if you're new to a culture or program or a club or organization, like you mentioned, Chap, I mean, I don't want to say it's just another game, because if you're a football fan, you know what New England is, but you might not be as familiar with this bad blood and animosity that has been around Indy, New England for so very many years.
And maybe that's a good thing from Frank Reich's perspective, is all he needs to concentrate on is, hey, this is a pretty good team. Well, they won 6 or 7 in a row, whatever it is. And, never mind the fact that the Manning and Brady and all the history, the 4th and 2 game, the fake punt game, the AFC Championship games, the good and the bad. He doesn't really need to focus on that, because, again, that is in the past, and there's very few people still connected player-wise that can say, yeah, boy, that game really sucked because. So the fact that you've got such a big turnover with the roster, it's a younger roster, all he needs to focus on is, these guys are pretty good. Belichick knows what he's doing. The rookie quarterback's playing well, so he doesn't have to worry about it. And, oh, by the way, these games in the past haven't gone our way, whatever reason. He doesn't need to get into that because he's talking over most of these players' heads. So in that regard, it's good. Now, those of us in the media will mention it. I'm going to do something on Monday just about maybe some of the bigger games, the more memorable games in the series. I mean, I was there in, 2001 when Brady made his first start against the Colts, against Peyton Manning, and they just took him out to the woodshed. But most of these, again, I keep harping, but most of these players don't know. And, some of these players weren't even born when this really the series got going. So I think the fact that New England's really, really good is all that Frank Reich needs to focus on. I'm sure that's what he will focus on.
We examine a lot. I mean, you especially, but myself as well, because I consume it and follow it. I know narratives are present in all aspects of sports, but Bill Belichick has made a case of it not being a narrative anymore, of it being factual, that he's going to take away your best option offensively. He's going to take away at least one weapon that you like to utilize. Chab, I've argued for a number of weeks that you don't need to go one extreme or the other. You can go all day with Taylor if the defense is going to give it to you, but if not, you don't need to go all Wentz. You need balance. Is this team, I know at times they have, but are they capable for a full game putting together a balanced attack if a defense is going to key in on Jonathan Taylor like Bill Belichick might very well do?
I don't know that we know that, and boy, in December you'd like to know that.
Sure.
I certainly trust the running game. What is it? It's second in the league or whatever, and it's first in yards per attempt, and Taylor's doing all what he's doing. But I just, to this point, I don't trust the passing game to be if we've got to throw for 350,
sure,
we can do it. Because right now it's Michael Pittman and who?
Yeah.
T.Y. they've not really been able to establish T.Y. for a lot of reasons. He's been out of the lineup and all that. Zach Pascal's not. He sort of has hit a ceiling for some reason. So that's the question: is if Belichick decides to take away Taylor, try to take away Taylor, can you make him pay by going the other route? And I don't know that. I really don't. It's one thing that when you can run the ball and you run it 46 times and it makes things easier, but if it's going to be 25 carries for 75 yards, first, I don't think you can win a game like that against New England because they are, they're pretty efficient on their own.
Right.
I hope I'd like to think the Colts can, but until they prove that if you take away this guy, we can really hurt you with the passing. They had that good stretch against Tampa with the second quarter or whatever it was with the 3 touchdowns. But, it's the more you throw, the more you put the ball at risk. And I realize you can say the same thing with the run game. I mean, Jonathan Taylor had, 32 carries last time?
Yep.
And he had a fumble. So the more times you handle a ball, there's more risk. But the risk is greater when you're throwing it because then you're taking pass protection into account. And I still don't fully trust Eric Fisher. I just don't. So can they be balanced? I think they need to be. That's going to be a really big key on Saturday. Is if they're able to take away Taylor or at least limit him, can you do enough in the other area? I really don't know.
Yeah, that Buccaneers game was such a tease. I mean, because I was right there with you. That first and especially that second quarter for Carson Wentz. I mean, it did. I know a number of people in the market tweeted this, but it looked like the asset that Ballard and Reich hoped they were getting and hope that they will get as he gets more familiar with this organization as a whole, that at his best, he's able to show flashes like that more consistently.
Yeah, and it was working. I mean, we all got hung up on the 26, and
sure.
I've said all along is how many runs would they need to sprinkle in for people to where it wouldn't have been an issue? Run the ball 3 more times? I don't know.
Right.
How about if you just don't let your quarterback get strip sacked on that 26 or 27 time?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It was working fine until it didn't. And then the argument is, well, if you don't throw the ball that much, then that doesn't happen. Well, you got to expect your left tackle to hold up. I don't care if it's 60 times. I can still remember back in the day, I did a story on Dwight Freeney and Tariq Glenn. And the unfairness of the NFL is Dwight Freeney can play, if there are 60 plays, Dwight Freeney can play 57 plays and do absolutely nothing, and have three big plays, and he had a great game. Tariq Glenn could play 57 plays perfect and give up 3 pressures or sacks, and he was awful. So you just, when a certain player at a certain position messes up or doesn't do good enough, bad things happen, and that's simply the way it is, and that's why left tackles are paid the way they are. And that's why I say, can it be balanced? I don't know, because occasionally this pass protection has had leaks, and that's the surest way to get yourself beat.
Last thing I got for you, Chap, if anything, and maybe there's not, but what would be the biggest adjustment or the biggest change that you need to see on either side of the ball from this Colts team if they are going to take care of business and make the postseason?
Adjustments, I'd like to see him go down to defensive ends are us and get a pass rusher. I still, it's crazy that this defense is kind of working, and it leads the league in takeaways and tie up on interceptions, and the edge pass rush just isn't there consistently. And I don't know how they make a deep push without affecting the passer, because they're going to face good passers from here on out. So that give me one thing. It's to crank up the edge pass rush, and I don't know how they do that, because if they could do that, they would have done it by now.
He's the best. You can find his work on Fox 59 and CBS 4, and again, you can hit him with a follow on Twitter at mchappell51. Chappie, I really appreciate you taking time on the off week, sir, and I hope you have a great rest of the season. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Thanks for calling.
Thanks. That is the Dean, Mike Chappell, taking some time out for us there. We're going to step away. When we come back, we will hand out some bets that we like across Week 14 in the National Football League. That upcoming in a moment on the Way Too Early pregame show, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dan vs. Fan, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings app. Use code 1075FAN to get in on all the action. Hey, it's Big Joe for Absolute Comfort, your trusted independent American Standard air dealer. The owner is Chris Wettikin, and he sells the ductless Mitsubishi Electric Mini Split, which is an extremely efficient and cost-effective way to heat and cool your space.
If you're looking to lower your carbon footprint and you're looking to try to get something that's more energy efficient that works well with solar panels or something like that, these are the perfect solution.
Find out more at AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your trusted independent American Standard Air Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
Did you wait until the last minute to do your holiday shopping? Don't worry about it. We've got your back. At Shane Company, we do everything we can to make it easy for you. We have a wide range of unique styles in every price range. Easy last-minute gifts, like classic diamond stud earrings, stunning 3-stone rings, 14-karat gold bracelets, beautiful jewelry with colorful gemstones, as well as cultured pearls, all made with superior craftsmanship and guaranteed for life. Whatever your budget, we'll work with you to find gifts that they'll love, tied with a burgundy bow and ready to slip under the tree. Visit us in the store or shop online to get them in time for Christmas. Order last-minute gifts by December 22nd with overnight shipping. We can't wait to help you light up the holidays. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
When we at AmericanEagle.com were asked by our client, Repair Clinic, to, repair their website, our digital marketing experts, like Tim, rolled up their sleeves and got to work. If you know Tim, you know that he loves a good challenge, which meant that this project was pretty much the highlight of Tim's year. From improving slow-loading performance that plagued our client's site to slashing duplicate pages and building an optimized sitemap, Tim was like a real-life action hero, but of website optimization. And our client reaped the benefits with major strides in their SEO, like more traffic, impressions, and revenue. Tim and the team even helped them create search and email marketing campaigns and better ongoing analytics tracking. However complex your digital challenges, from digital marketing and strategy to web development, UX, and more, talk to the experts at AmericanEagle.com. Don't just grow, soar.
Guys, this Christmas, give her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas available exclusively at pajamagram.com. Sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her soft skin. Now, even more alluring than lingerie, the texture and the touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel that they have to offer. Leave nothing to the imagination with naturally nude pajamas. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for free. Order today at Pajamagram will also include a free matching naturally nude nightie with the purchase of naturally nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and a free naturally nude nightie when you order today. Here's what you do. Go to Pajamagram.com right now. That's Pajamagram.com to order naturally nude pajamas. Pajamagram.com. Of course, you got to tell them JMV sent you.
In the early hours after the tsunami, it was ham radio that was on the air, saving lives. When Florida was ripped by hurricanes, the hams were there. In the critical moments after the attack of 9/11, it was the hams who coordinated emergency messages. When disasters strike, the hams are ready. Ham radio works when other communications don't. To learn how you can become a ham radio operator, call the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, at 1-800-326-3942.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe. My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
When we think about coming home for the holidays, there's only one place we have in mind.
Taken by Brogdon for the trailing Sabonis right down the middle with a two-hand slam.
This holiday, 'tis the season to spread good cheer. And we be ballin' in a winter wonderland.
Turner the rebound, puts it in!
Because when you're gold-blooded, there's only one way to get into the holiday spirit.
Golden State makes their only visit on Monday. Tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers Warriors, Monday at 7.
For those fortunate enough to help the person who has always been their hero, find the care guides you need to help at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's never too early for football.
Yeah, it's too early.
It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back for the final time here on the Way Too Early pregame show. On Twitter at 107.5 The Fan. Producer Corbin will have the pregame show, a link to the podcast up if you'd like to listen to it on our little bye-week show. We'll be back next week. That'll be a 10 to noon show, just like it was today, but it'll be on Sunday. So it'll be more like the, as I've joked about, the Way Too Late postgame show, because that Colts game is on Saturday night against New England. Let's take a look around the league briefly. It would not be a Way Too Early pregame show run by yours truly if I did not at least mention the Chiefs once or twice. They got a big matchup today against at Arrowhead Stadium. Nice rivalry matchup. We talked about that a little bit early in the show. I need to see explosive Kansas City Chiefs offense again. I want to see it back in full throttle. The last time it was there was against these very Las Vegas Raiders. Patrick Mahomes earlier in the week talked about how he believes that the explosives will come back for this Chiefs offense.
Obviously defenses are playing different types of defenses, so that has an effect on it. And then I've missed a good amount of them. You look over the season, there's been a couple, even the last game, the one over the middle to Tyreek. I mean, if I hit those throws that I've hit in the past, then we'll have those explosive plays. And so it's going to take me being better, hitting those throws when they're there, because the defenses are limited them. And for whenever we do have that shot, kind of like I said, I got to hit it. And I haven't done that these last few weeks.
I want to get one more clip from Pat, and this is the bigger thing for me. He says he can't play timid despite the turnovers he's had this year.
I mean, it just happens. It's part of football. Luckily enough, our defense is playing good enough that whenever they've happened, they've been able to get stopped and get turnovers or whatever it is, and not let it impact the team. But you understand that turnovers are a huge part of this game. Luckily, our defense is getting a lot of turnovers, and we're still winning that turnover battle. But I'll try to limit them as much as possible. But at the same time, I have to be me, and I have to continue to throw the football and give guys chances to make plays.
Look, I get it. You want to be conservative with Carson Wentz a little bit and you not want to throw it every time, but that's because that Carson Wentz, big picture, this is mean, I'm sorry, but I don't have a better analogy. He's a Hyundai Elantra, okay? That's what he is. He's a Hyundai, right? He's just a standard car. That's a Lamborghini right there. I'm not putting the Lamborghini and putting training wheels on it. I'm not, I'm not going to utilize it as fast as I can, when I can, within reason. Don't speed, folks. Come on, be smart out there. That's public service announcement brought to you by nobody. But I'm just not doing it. I'm not putting him in the garage. I want him to play free. I don't want him to play timid. Quickly, we'll hand out some bets. Van, there are a couple games that you like today. In particular, again, Van Mitchell Jr. at Cathedral. Job shadowing us here these next couple way too early pregame shows.
The games I like the most is, you mentioned it earlier, is the taking the Ravens plus 2.5. Lamar's like 5-1 against the Browns, and I think it'll be 6-1 after today. And then the other one is the Bucks minus 3.5 against the Bills. Again, I think Fournette will have a big game, like Taylor against the Bills. Overrated defense, in my opinion. And yeah,
I like both those picks. Corbin, anything that jumps out to you for today?
Well, not for today, but tomorrow night, I like Arizona minus 2.5.
They host the Rams, and the Cardinals, best team in football right now, at least record-wise. It's hard for me to argue with that one. I am not going to take the 10 or 9.5 for Kansas City because it's just tough from an offensive standpoint. I'm not, again, I want them to do that, but I'm not going to bet money on it just yet because I need to see a little bit more consistency from them. However, I expect a Travis Kelce touchdown today, so I don't know what those odds are, but I would take a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown bet for KC and maybe look at a live bet option for them as well if you get that number down. Additionally, I think the Bengals make a stand today. I'm sorry, Colts fans. I'm going to take Cincinnati. I'm going to scoop the 1.5 as they host San Francisco. That game will be coming up here on this very airwaves in the late afternoon window. But up next, it will be Falcons and Panthers. All right, Falcons-Panthers here upcoming in just a moment. It'll be a fun day of NFL Week 14 across the National Football League. I want to thank Van Mitchell for being in here today, job shadowing. He'll be back in next week as well. Corbin did a great job filling in for Eddie Garrison. He'll be back, I believe, in the producer's chair next week as we get you set up. A recap. It's a Sunday show, 10 to noon next week. We will have your first real thoughts after the fifth quarter huddle, of course, talking about Colts, Patriots reaction. We might even take some phone calls for you. Until then, enjoy this Sunday around the NFL.
Audible is best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, and podcasts all in one app. This holiday season, treat yourself with 60% off your first 3 months. Just visit audible.com for more details.
There has never been a better time to work at Amazon. They are offering sign-on bonuses up to $3,000 and pay up to $24.50 per hour. Many jobs come with great benefits that start on your first day, and Amazon offers a variety of paths for career growth. They have flexible shifts and schedules, and you can start in as little as 7 days, so you'll be earning extra income just in time for the holidays. Go to Amazon.com/apply to get started today. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Every 6 minutes, a utility line is damaged by reckless digging. So Indiana relies on 811 superheroes like Steve the plumber.
I contact 811 before I do my work.
Mary the gardener.
Before I plant a tree, I contact 811.
And Mike the landscaper.
I dig for a living, but always contact 811.
Prevent damages or injury. Call 811 or go online. 811now.com.
Sponsored by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, this station, and the Indiana Broadcasters Association.
The holidays are here, and at Lover's Lane, finding a gift for the one you love has never been more fun. Sexy and provocative lingerie, petite to full sizes, exciting games for couples, massage oils, and intimate bedroom essentials. Sure, Lover's Lane has gifts for the naughty, but we also have the nicest and coolest gifts too. Who needs mistletoe anyway when you've got Lover's Lane, the gift and toy store for grown-ups? Want a gift that's sure to please? Give a Lover's Lane gift card.
Indy's number one for new country is 97.1 Hank FM.
Maybe some things last forever after all. I hope you both feel the sparks by the end of the drive. It was your country song.
Starting your day with 97 minutes of commercial-free new country every weekday morning at 8:30 with Joey and Mindy. More new country and fewer commercials means more of this.
Hey, it's Luke Combs.
This is Carrie Underwood.
Hey, y'all, it's Luke Bryan.
Indy's number one for new country is
97.1 Hank FM.
Hey, it's JMV here for Mark Dietl Realty, 317-755-4232. Again, 317-755-4232. Online, markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com today. I know a lot of you are really fired up about wanting to get into the housing market. In fact, I just had talked to Mark about how it was going. And let me tell you this, you are not going to get the level of service and the guarantees, whether you're upgrading or downsizing, as you're going to get with Mark Dietl at Mark Dietl Realty. In fact, he's going to give you this guarantee. He's going to guarantee multiple offers in 3 days for full market value, or he is going to sell it for free. That's what I love, and no matter what you're doing in the housing market, he's going to get the job done right for you. That's Mark Dietl Realty today, 317-755-4232, 317-755-4232. That's markdietl.com, Mark, DIETEL.com today.
So I could play sports and see my friends without having to worry about anything.
I'm ready for concerts to be back and just have a life again.
So I can actually eat pizza at my favorite pizza place.
Because I'm ready to travel again.
So that I can sit on the couch, read my granddaughter books, and hug her when there's a happy ending.